I used to travel a lot, and in one of my travels to Pondicherry from Chennai, I was going in a bus. Unfortunately, the bus crashed with another vehicle that was trying to overtake it, and in that impact, my right hand got crushed. Doctors were not able to recover my right hand, and they had to amputate it to save my life. And this happened in 2018 of September. This year would mark 8 years of that incident.
Hello, welcome to the Indian Startup Show. I am super thrilled to welcome back Rishi Krishna, the visionary founder and CEO of Symbionic. He came on the show back in November 2021 and he's still going. A lot has changed since our last conversation. In this exciting episode, we deep dive into the massive pivots the business has undergone and how Symbionic is quite literally giving people a second life. Rishi pulls back on the curtain on his experiences pitching on Shark Tank India Season 4 and Startup Singham. He offers invaluable advice for early stage founders on navigating the noise, securing finance. He gives us thoughts on AI and finally an inspiring story of delivering prosthetic to a user just before her wedding, allowing her to celebrate with confidence and without self-consciousness. So please enjoy the show. Thank you. So thanks for coming back on. In November 2021 since I last spoke to you.
Wow, that's quite a while.
So it's a long time ago. So it's nice to see that you're still going.
Thank you. It's good for me also that we're still going.
Still going, yeah. So super excited to speak to you today.
No, so 2021. It feels like a lifetime ago. We were in a completely different phase in 2021. When we last spoke.
For those people who didn't listen to that podcast, please just introduce yourself and what you're building, please.
So, hi Neil, thank you so much for having me. I am Rishi Krishna. I am the CEO and co-founder of Symbionic. Symbionic is an India startup which specializes in designing and manufacturing prosthetic hands and generally prosthetics for people with disabilities. We started in 2019 and we're still going, and it's been a very fun journey reaching here.
Yeah, since we last spoke to you then, let's start with any sort of the product itself. How has that changed?
When we started in 2019, the main concern for us was to make a low-cost robotic hand for amputees, right? So just TLDR, we were able to build it. We were able to raise a lot of angel investments and fundings, equity investments, and we were able to bring in good talent and build a kick-ass state-of-the-art bionic arm, along with the robotics, the sensors, everything that includes a bionic arm, right? We were able to build it indigenously in India at a fraction of the cost from whatever is available out there. When we did that, when we started doing field trials with actual people, right, including myself, but then also a lot of other people, we understood that certain limitations which is inherent to a bionic arm, which is like there is a level of weight which makes it very inaccessible to a lot of people to use it consistently throughout the day. There is also a naturalness to a real hand that, like drinking water, I can just do this instead of taking the robotic arm and then placing it and then opening my hand, closing it, and then drinking. In a simple UI UX term, the number of steps adds a lot of friction to using the limb for any daily activity, which kind of demotivates our users to use the prosthetic hand, on a regular basis. As such, they kind of abandon it. So we discussed this with our advisors, with our technical staff, and we kind of understood that the abandonment rate of prosthetic has not gone down in the last few decades. Mm-hmm. People would buy a prosthetic hand and then they just abandon it. They just don't use it. When we asked why, they said most of the reasons is that they don't find it useful. And India, additionally, we also saw that they were also finding it heavy and uncomfortable, like sort of a hindrance to their daily life, not even useful. And also, for personally, I was not using the bionic arm. So the bionic arm is called the Titan arm. So we understood that there is more research and more work that has to be put in, but the users that we had wanted a solution today. As in, we met with a person with two-hand amputation. His hands were lost, and his biggest challenge was eating in public, and he had set of prosthetics that was given to him through, he got it through some organization, and it was kind of robotic. It had its function and all of that stuff, but then it was kind of lying in some shelf and he was not using it. It was collecting dust somewhere, and this is the case with majority of people that I see here. So when I asked him what he does to eat today, so he would take a bottle, a Pepsi bottle, and just cut it in half, a plastic bottle, and cut it in half. He'll just insert that half on his stump and bend a spoon and just makeshift sort of a spoon socket thingy, and then you use that to eat. But he wouldn't do that in public. He would always eat in home. This is the kind of ingenious solutions that we need to think of, rather than try to build a tech and kind of push it on people that barely use them. That's basically how our current line of product, the Kriya Adaptive. The Kriya Adaptive is basically a set of attachment based ecosystem of prosthetic hand. So this is the Kriya Adaptive. I'm just showing it on video.
Yeah, that's
you
good.
can see it. So basically the idea is that the user has to have the freedom to choose what activity they do. Right? So you have this cosmetic hand, which is basically for my public appearance, going in public, going to meet someone, friends, going on a date, anything like that, right? So you have a cosmetic arm that basically makes it easy for you to go out in public without getting stared at. And a lot of people do feel the self-conscious feelings about people staring, looking, asking questions, or showing sympathy. Those kind of things are not necessary. So just to generally avoid that, having a cosmetic hand works. But then that is not the only solution people are looking for. People were looking to do other things also. So we designed this thing called Ride Assist. Ride Assist basically allows somebody to drive and it's kind of, you could just take it and that's it. A lot of people want it because see, if you have a demography study, a majority of the amputee population in India would come under the maybe middle class, lower middle class population, and their primary mode of transportation would be two-wheelers, and also not just for generally transportation but also livelihood. Depends on being able to travel and go to places. If that is kind of hindered, their livelihood itself is hindered. And we thought, okay, one of the best ways to create independence amongst this population would be to be able to help them independently travel. Then we saw more and more things that came into need. So this is a gym assist. It helps somebody to do workouts, exercise, strength training, those kind of things, because you do require some level of aspiration, some level of strength to maintain good health. And we also had a request to design something for swimming.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty cool.
So this is to swim, and so we have a bunch of things. We have something to eat, something to write, use phones, a lot of different attachments, and we understood that this modular system actually helps people. The main reason why it helps them is that when you compare a prosthetic leg versus a prosthetic hand, a leg has a very definite purpose. So you walk, you have to walk, and even the walking prosthetic is not used to run. If you see, there is a specific leg for running. You would have seen the Blade Runner, right?
Yeah.
There's a specific limb for running and there's a specific limb for walking. But then with the prosthetic hand, it is assumed that one type all solution is working. That one robotic arm, you just put it on a person and they will be normal. Which is not true. That's not going to happen anytime soon, at least. Because there's a human behind that tech. There's a human that has to use that technology, and that person can come from any background. That person can come from, that person can have stump strength or not have enough strength and may not understand the technology. And there's so many other factors that is to be considered. And you can't just make one tech and just push it on people without getting their opinion. The Kriya is perfect for everyone, but are open to customize it based on everyone's preferences and needs. That is the first part of the solution that we created.
Wow, you've been very busy since I last spoke to you in 2021. You mentioned dating. I mean, you did mention dating. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. give you something to talk about during the day.
Obviously. No, I mean, that has been kind of a primary request from a lot of people.
What I'm trying to say is, what's been the reaction like in public to this?
Like when I wear it, or when
when you wear it, and it's like a general day to day. Do you still get stared at, or obviously you're wearing a sleeve, so people probably won't know. But when they come up to you and speak to you, things like that.
No. I mean, I think it has been quite positive, to be very frank.
That's cool.
It has changed the way they see you, mainly because before, when you walk around. So see, I am also a big proponent of not wearing prosthetics all the time. I sometimes just don't wear it, and I go in public with just my amputated hand free. Like I wear a half shirt and go. I don't cover it up. I don't because I don't feel it's right of anyone to make me feel uncomfortable. If they feel uncomfortable, it is their problem, not mine.
Yeah, true.
It is something that they have to deal with. But I also sometimes just want to kind of go to a movie or go in public. But then when I wear the prosthetic, it kind of changes the demeanor of people. They're like, they look at it, but they look at it in like curiosity. They're like, hey, what is this? And a lot of people actually, when I'm driving two-wheeler especially, a lot of people in the signal, they'll stop and they'll ask me, hey, what's that? It's pretty cool. And they'll take photos. They'll treat me like a celebrity at some point. So that's been cool.
How big's the team now?
We're 10 now. We kind of got a little higher than we kind of reduced. So we have a bunch of designers and engineers, and then we also have operationally, we've hired a few people for content and outreach, especially outreach, because so that's a separate kind of problems that we're trying to solve now.
Yeah, I mean, from a CEO point of view, your role must have changed then. Are you more hands-off now? Now you've got a team of 10 people now, or are you still hands-on, as it were? Because obviously you're the product, as it were. So,
yeah, I think I'm always a little hands-on.
Literally hands-on.
Yeah, especially like when we talk about product, I really love being involved in the process of coming up with the ideas and designing, giving my inputs in the design. Even if it is electronics or tech, I really want to be in the process at all points. But then I understand my limits, and I kind of work with the team to ensure that the best possible solution is given. Now I think in the last few months, or at least around 6 to 8 months, I've been mostly involved in the other side of the problem of this, not the product but the distribution. So I'm trying to solve for distribution, solve for revenue, which is inherently like a completely different game. Like it's not like the product games are much fun. I feel like I feel like I enjoy building, but I'm also kind of okay at selling, because I'm not actually selling. I just talk to people and say that, see, I'm using it. I like it. If you want, you can get it, and we'll see how it works. So I don't really sell. I'm just talking to them, but then it has worked quite well for me to sell this product.
Yeah, cool. And how are sales coming along? Have you set yourself a target this year?
So
how was last year doing compared to this year? Or
so the last year, for the most part, it was the decision to pivot from Bionic to Kriya. That was our main. The entirety of last year was transition from the Bionic arm to Kriya hand, because it was not an easy decision to make, because we had to convince our investors, we had to convince our stakeholders, even ourselves for that matter, that hey, this really seems like a good idea. Let us try to do that. So the kind of nail in the coffin was last year we were invited to be on the Shark Tank India season 4.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And in that we had to show a fully working good product that had potential, right? So we decided to go with the Kriya. Although we did show the Bionic arm as well, we mainly focused on Kriya. Kind of a lot of inquiries came for it afterwards. So then we realized that, hey, you know what, this makes sense. Like, why don't we transition and continue Kriya and continue the Bionic R&D on the back end, and until we are satisfied, let's not ship the Bionic. So now we are shipping the Kriya. We've been shipping it for the past 8 months, 6 to 8 months. I'm slowly moving, like say, from 1 to 2 a month to now like 10 to 15 a month. We have about 50 people who are our users right now for Kriya. It's slowly increasing every month. So our target for this year is 350 people, and the next year we're targeting like 500 users. So totally we have a target of 1,000 in the short next by 2027. We want to target 1,000 amputees in India. So there are some challenges in the market that we're trying to address. While we it's not just that once we have a product, that's what I thought when we started. Once we make a kick-ass product and people are just going to swarm in and they just buy. That did not happen.
Let's talk about Shark Tank. I mean, that's absolutely huge around the world. What was it like when you got the email saying that you're going on the show?
No, so this was our second time applying. First time we got to the in-person interview and studio testing, and then I think they didn't select us to go to the next round. But then this time somehow everything went smoothly, and they asked us to be on the show. And it was really last minute. Like we had less than 2 weeks to prepare everything. So we had to arrange a bunch of stuff, print a bunch of stuff, and even get our old employees in to help us with certain work. And all of this while we were shifting our offices. It was like a crazy time, really crazy time. And the shoot was in Mumbai. I'm in Chennai, so we had to take our entire team to Mumbai and kind of we got them settled there in a hostel so that they could keep working and keep being there to support if anything was needed. But the show was really good. Show went really well. We got a grant from Adani Foundation. So we met Jeet Adani, who's who's now the spokesperson for Adani Foundation, and he actually agreed to support us with a 1 crore rupee grant distributed to 1,000 people, 1,000 amputees. And so we got the first tranche, and we started. Now we've used that to start distributing to a lot of people, which has been amazing. And we also kind of on the show, we won a check from Namita Thapar. That was for 40 lakhs. And but that didn't pan out afterwards. After a lot of back and forth, I think we've walked away. Both of us have walked away. So we're not going ahead with that investment. Luckily, after that, just this year, in March, March, we had another event called Startup Singham. I don't know if you've heard about Startup Singham. So it's a Tamil version of Shark Tank India. So Startup Singham is basically like same format, slightly modified and all of that, but it's specifically in Tamil. And we went on that, and we won investment of 2 crores from about 6-7 investors.
Okay, so, that's pretty cool. Just going back to Shark Tank then, what was it like, 5 minutes before that you were going to go on air? You must have been really nervous, excited, the chance to pitch your idea in front of millions of people around the world.
So I was actually nervous, I will be honest. I'm not very good at stage and stuff. So it was a little nerve-wracking. Definitely something that I was just scared where I will mess up, because I know that I might mess up when I'm nervous. Niranjan, on the other hand, was super calm for some reason. Both of us hadn't slept for like 3 days, so I don't know, maybe that helped. Just before going in, my throat started itching like crazy. And I was feeling like, oh no, I'm done. We are somehow we powered through, and the initial, that 2-minute pitch is the most important, right? Where when you get in, you have to do this 2-minute continuous presenting, and then only they'll start ask questions. So that 2 minute they prepare you really well, like how to present, not like prepare, but like they'll tell you what to say, what to not say, and kind of where to keep your hands and those kind of things, which is just generally camera sense. So I kept that in mind. I was just like very slightly just robotically, I just did everything that was in my brain, and that went really well. But then I started having this dry throat, and then I kept drinking water, and it was like during the shoot I felt that I was just a mess. But then when it came out, it kind of came out well. I don't think there was some things that I didn't want, I felt like was not necessary questions during the shoot. They didn't actually put it, so those were kind of good.
As someone who's now the expert in pitching, then what advice would you give our startup listeners then, who are in the process of pitching to like an investor or customers even, based on your experience in the Shark Tank?
I think investors really want to invest in people who know their stuff, who really understand the market and the product, not just one aspect of it, but holistically. And they also want to learn. I think a lot of very good investors want to learn a lot. When you go there with this idea that, we are going to have a good discussion about the product, about the market, about this industry, and not just to seek money. I think this sense of desperation that I need money kind of devalues the pitch itself, because this 5-minute pitch and 2-minute pitch, all of these things kind of devalue the conversation, because end of the day it is a conversation. It's like what we are having right now, Neil. I think end of this podcast, if you are an investor, I would want you to understand this kind of business and what we do really well. So I would try to explain to you my perspective of how I see things, right? And also try to understand how you see it, because that's also equally important. As an investor, if I don't understand, or if I refuse to see how you see, and if I refuse to take your criticism, accept your criticism, I think those are some big red flags. I have learned to do that now. I have learned to ask a lot of questions to the investors as well, and not just take in all the questions, and also kind of stay strong where I feel strong, and also kind of relent where I think that they are right. Those kind of balance is really helpful, has been really helpful for me to grow as a founder, because a lot of investors are not out there to get you. It's not zero sum. It's not that they want to destroy you or hurt you or anything. They are just people who want to invest and get a return, but also be part of something cool. You are building something cool. So if it's a good match, it's a good match. And if you go with that mindset, I think a lot of nervousness and kind of eases up. You're just going there for a talk. It's not a viva in your college that
it's not
you have to pass.
It's not an interrogation.
Yeah, I think most of the first-time founders treat investment pitches as interrogation or viva, rather than a friendly discussion with peers. And that kind of affects the way they get perceived, I think, and also breaks the tone in how you converse with people. I think that is a big problem.
I watched the Startup Singham on YouTube. The judge said, I quote, "You gave people a second life." What an amazing thing to say, and what an amazing thing to do. I mean, how does that make you feel?
Amazing. Actually, one of the judges in Startup Singham was an investor in our company already, Kumar Vembu. He had funded us 2 years before the Startup Singham episode aired. Yeah. And so I kind of, and the fact that he came back and reinvested shows the kind of trust in the vision that we have. I think that was by far more meaningful to us than anything else. The fact that he chose to reinvest, because that kind of shows other investors also that these guys are in the right direction. I feel like the Startup Singham episode was more relaxed, maybe because we have already experienced Shark Tank. Yeah. We felt we have some experience doing this, but also the questions and the discussions were really natural, it's very organic and naturally flowed. And we were also kind of more mature in that 1 year, when we went into the market, when we tried to sell the product. So a lot of experience we had gained. So I think that helped us really well. We could have done a few things better. I think we are always not very good at negotiating equities and valuations. So we could have done that better. We could have had those conversations in a more mature manner. But then I think the rest of the things went quite well.
One of the judges was worried about scaling.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bigger challenge was I think her point of view came from Aparna ma'am, she came from this perspective, which makes sense that we've been alive since 2019, and we have like back then during the shoot we had like less than 20-25 active users. Number was not making sense to her. Like she was worried, how are we going to take this 20 to 20,000 or whatever number that we target, right? So that was one question in our mind. The answer for that was that as I already told you, like last year is when we started transitioning from the bionic arm to Kriya, and then now is when we are trying to actually actively bring this product out. So that transition took some time, and now we are understanding the market better, and we are able to deploy on a weekly basis. So the numbers are going to progressionally increase.
Talk about the market. How's that changed since we last spoke?
I would say the main thing that has changed is our understanding of it rather than the market itself. Because when we started, a lot of our data had been through secondary research, like available data online, case studies, or maybe even there was some surveys done by the government itself, census survey, right? We understood that this data was not to be trusted. So we had to just extrapolate from it based on our own assumptions. The problem was that there was no consolidated data of upper limb amputees anywhere. Like how many amputees are there? Type of amputation do they have? Like, are they using prosthetics? None of this data is available. Nobody's collecting it. And even if they do, I don't think they're sharing it. So there is no proper mechanism to have disability-based census data in India right now, and which is a big challenge if you want to do any, large-scale implementation of policies in disability, any disability-based policies. If you want to implement without this data, you can't do that. So imagine like a startup like ours, when we go raise money, how do you tell what is your market size? Next to impossible, right? So this was one problem. The second set of problem is that a lot of users or a lot of amputees don't know we exist, and they're all distributed. They're also very unaware about what exists out there, about the kind of policies that are there for them. So there's a lot of issues that exists in this domain, right? Very few people you can reach through online marketing. The majority of this you wouldn't find them online. There are like these set of challenges that we were facing when we started deploying. Right? How do you find people? That is the crux of the problem. Like how do you find them? One way is obviously has been always helped is through social media. Like when Shark Tank released, when Startup Singham released, when some of our users put out videos, we get a lot of inbound outreaches. Like people just start reaching out to us. So that has helped quite a lot. So we are focusing on that, where we do like this B2C space of outreaching and connecting with people and deploying them. But that number is not very consistent. So we wanted some way to make this into a process where we can scale this to a lot of people. So one way that we did is we work with community coordinators. Mostly this would be part of non-profits or NGOs that are working in these different regions in the disability sector. So we partner with these NGOs. We ask them to organize like a sort of an assessment camps in rural villages. We've done like some 10 camps till date, 15 camps till date, where we invite the people with amputation to a single common space, and we kind of talk to them. We assess their needs. We scan their stumps and do we are building our own database basically, and then so a part of them buy from us directly. A part of them we are raising corporate CSR funds supported our. So the idea is that once they get this kit, they are able to regain their livelihood, and they can go back to work, and they can kind of start earning, and also kind of if they want more attachments or they want in the future, they can buy it themselves. So that is the general plan.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Last time we spoke to you, there's no such thing as AI, or I don't think AI existed back then. What are your thoughts on AI? How are you using it?
Everything. I think everything. I think
it's huge, right?
My days have like 60% of my day. My work day would be spent using Claude. Amplifies the amount of work I can do in a day.
Yeah.
That's what I have seen, and it's not just like my work, but I'm also able to kind of improve the efficiency of the team itself, like to maybe from content creation to organizing operations, and even like things like generating invoices. Like you don't need an individual, you don't need to hire somebody to do that anymore. Like, you don't need to hire an individual to manage your finances. So these are things that AI can do now. So we're trying to kind of optimize on those things because it's definitely a wonderful tool for a startup. I also saw that in between I was getting over reliant and I stopped thinking, which was not good. So,
Stop
so
using your brain.
I stopped using my brain. Yeah, that's the main part of which works well. So I didn't want to do that, and so I'm trying to build a balance and see where exactly is it needed. And one of the things that we are building internally is also to use AI to automatically qualify, disqualify inbounds, or scan. So once we have a scan data, to auto design a CAD model for the socket, which could be like used as the first draft, which would reduce the number of hours that an engineer takes to design the final CAD. So if it takes him 3 hours, it could be done in maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Some small minor changes that they can do on the AI generated model. So this is something that is an internal experiment that we are running. And it's pretty possible today because of how advanced the AI has become. Some of the other things that we saw was we used to feel like a lot of tech was inaccessible. What I mean is like doing hardware and electronics felt very inaccessible to me who's not from that domain. And I think that barrier to entry has been kind of removed.
Another hot day in Chennai.
Yes. Super hot.
Super hot. Oh god. I'll have to visit. I'll have to come and visit you guys, sometime.
Yeah,
feel
please do.
the heat in the middle of winter, in the middle of the UK winter.
I mean, even then it would be hot here for you.
You've had a great entrepreneurial journey so far. Any advice for our first-time founders then? What should they be focusing on, do you think?
I think for the first-time founders, in today's entrepreneurial world, everything seems to be very easy to do, like with AI and cloud and everything, right? You can just build anything you want. But then that is also a problem because, life without constraints is endless, feedback, endless loop of doing whatever. Figuring out what to do would be much more efficient than trying and doing everything. And I think that is one of the few things that we have also learned is instead of putting our energies on doing a lot of things inadequately, getting one thing really, really right has made a lot of impact for us.
I suppose persistence as well. That's important as well for any.
Absolutely,
you've done that, haven't you? You've gone through the highs and lows, as it were. So
I know, absolutely. I mean, I have seen people shift from one thing to another so quick, like if just because of very, very scarce signals of not working out, they'll just jump to another idea, they just pivot so easy. I am not against pivoting. We pivoted from Bionic to Kriya, but then that was a lot of thinking behind that. I mean, I think you need to be very persistent.
Persistence is the key, definitely. Talk about your co-founder. Who is he? How do you guys meet?
Niranjan and I, we met in 9th grade. So both of us, kind of traveled across, because of our parents being transferred everywhere. So but then somehow we both settled in Chennai in 9th grade, and then we were just in the same school ever since. And we just school friends. And he was doing his engineering masters in Italy when this happened to me, and he was back here in Chennai for vacations. We've had a lot of. In fact, he's the one who also introduced me to a lot of these entrepreneurs and Elon Musk and this and that. We used to talk a lot about wanting to build something. Symbionic became that thing that we built together, just as a sort of an accident.
Yeah. What were your first ever impressions of him then?
Oh no, I mean in school it was he was a bully. Yeah, I mean, he just used to beat up everyone. But then also, he used, at least when that was not the case, we used to have a lot of fun talking about what's happening in the world, what's happening in the innovation space. And he always wanted to be an engineer, I guess. So
Yeah.
I think he did pursue that as a like as a natural course of his education, and now he's leading engineering at Symbionic. And I think uh, a lot of what we discussed do kind of seeps in when he's working.
Yeah. So give me some examples then of someone who's used this then. I know you posted something on LinkedIn.
We've come a long way since our previous
Yeah.
podcast, right? Where it was just sort of a seed of an idea.
Yeah.
Now there are people actively using it. And when I say using it, I'm seeing the product in very important parts of their lives. We deployed our Kriya to an individual. She was getting married in a couple of days. And she only got to know us like very recently. So we did not have an idea that, oh yeah, she's getting married and all of that stuff. But when we got, there was very small time between her getting the hand and basically the way it happened is that on the morning of her wedding, early morning at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, my team reached her place and delivered the hand.
Wow.
So and because she wanted to get married with the hand, that was a really important thing for her. And we also understood how important that is. So the team worked through the weekend and overnight and somehow made it happen. And I think she was really happy, and it really showed how happy she was having that feeling of okay, I can get married. And this could be just about the wedding and nobody would be talking about anything else. So the photos, if you see, it's really hard to pinpoint if she's wearing a prosthetic.
Yeah, I had to zoom in on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the main part here, because it was not about the hand itself. It was not about Symbionic or Kriya or anything. It was just her wanting to be at her own wedding and not think about what others are going to say. I think that was the most important part here. Like, we were barely even a footnote, but that's how we want to exist in everyone's lives.
For those people who didn't listen to the last podcast, obviously it was six years ago, how did you lose your arm?
I used to work in the development sector. I used to work for a non-profit while trying to build my own startup, Tungsten. I used to travel a lot, and in one of my travels to Pondicherry from Chennai, I was going in a bus. Unfortunately, the bus crashed with another vehicle that was trying to overtake it, and in that impact, my right hand got crushed. Doctors were not able to recover my right hand, and they had to amputate it to save my life. And this happened in 2018 of September. This year would mark 8 years of that incident.
Wow.
Yeah, and we started Symbionic in 2019 of October. So it was like around a year.
Yeah. Is there anyone you want to thank?
I mean, so like at this point, the list is really, really long. I can't actually from the first person who kind of like was just like very accidentally, he was like somebody I used to work with for my previous startup that was attempting. I used to work with this guy. He had his own company, and in fact, he's the one who introduced us to the incubator in VIT. He said, "Hey, why don't you come with us? I'll just talk to you, introduce you to the VIT incubation." And that's basically how we got the first grant. And the VIT incubation team, Bala sir, who gave us our initial support, and then lots of other people who've kept us alive during this journey, like, because as a company in the assistive domain, and as first time founders, it was really hard to always be positive and upbeat about what we were doing, because every time when we were low on funds or low on energy, and even sometimes just low on people, we would think, is this worth moving forward with? And there was always someone who would say, yes, please do. And that kind of gave us our second breath. So I think I have to say there's a lot of people who I have to thank. And I'm like, whoever is listening, thank you so much for, bringing us where we are.
Awesome stuff. Last question then, for people who want more information on you and Symbionic, what must they do?
You can find us on www.symbionic.co, and you can just there's a form if you want the product details or just a demo. Otherwise, you can also just email us or like just Google Symbionic and you'll find a lot more details about who we are, what we do. There's an episode on Shark Tank India and that you can find on the YouTube. So just search for Symbionic Shark Tank and you know exactly what we do and what we are building.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Rishi. Thank you for coming on the show today. Hopefully we'll catch up soon. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Neil.